gimana kakak?
National anthem ada juga. Topik vokasi juga ada. Hah? Ini Indonesia Raya boleh.
Gimana ya? Apa? Boleh. Enggak, belum masuk. Emang maunya apa? Kayak biar nggak ada ini. Enggak kak?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to third floor room Intrako Universitas Indonesia. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to His Excellency, Director of the Universitas Indonesia Vocational Education Program, Mr. Padang Wicaksono, SE PhD, Honorable Deputy Director for Education, Research and Student Affairs, Mr. Denny Daniel Kesa, MBA PhD. Honorable Deputy Director for Resources, Ventures and General Administration, Mr. Priyanto SS MHum. Honorable Program Secretary, Mrs. Diah Safitri SIPI MHum, and the managers. Honorable Head of Applied Health Department, Mr. Dr. Herkutanto, MPH MARS. Honorable the Head of Hospital Administration Study Program, Mr. Supriyadi SKM MARS. Honorable Head of the Physiotherapy Study Program, Mr. Safrin Arifin SKM as STFT MSc. Honorable Head of the Occupational Therapy Study Program, Mr. Hermito Gideon, SPSI MPSIT. Honorable Associate Professor Natsuka Suyama and Associate Professor Kazuna Ichikawa from Tokyo Metropolitan University. Welcome to Indonesia and welcome to Universitas Indonesia. Honorable lecturers and staffs of Universitas Indonesia and respectable for all the ladies and gentlemen, the participants of the lectures. First of all, let's praise our God because we can gather here without any obstacles. Today is a great honor for me, Najla Suprianto, to be standing here and welcome each and every one of you in these lectures. To start our opening lectures, allow me to read today's agenda. For the first agenda is opening by saying a prayer according to each other's beliefs. For the second agenda is speech from the head of the Applied Health Department, Dr. Herkutanto, MPH, MARS. The third agenda is a group photo session. The fourth agenda, first expert lecture about healthcare system for older adults. For the fifth agenda is second expert lecture about sport physiotherapy. For the sixth agenda is third expert lecture about 3D printer, a tool for occupational therapy. And the last agenda is closing. Before we go into the first agenda, let us singing our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. For the participants may stand up. For the audience may sit. Alright, for the first agenda, let's start these lectures by saying a prayer according to each other's beliefs. The prayers begins. For the second agenda is the speech from the head of the Applied Health Department, Dr. Herkutanto, MPH, MARS. Dear Honorable Mr. Head, welcome to the stage.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is in good condition. Let us pray to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, God the Almighty, for the blessings that He gives to us, so that we can gather here in this very important occasion. That is the guest lecture from our guest distinguished professors from Tokyo Metropolitan University. So I would like to welcome Professor Natsuka Suyama. She's going to share with us the 3D printing for assistive device and health welfare system in elderly care. Especially, I think this is the experience in Japan. Yeah, and then also Professor Kazuna Ichikawa. Yeah, thank you very much. About the lecture is on physiosport. The Honorable Head of the Physiotherapy Study Program, Mr. Safrin, Secretary to the Applied Health Department, Mr. Sahid, and also Mr. Ari, lecturer from the Hospital Administration Program, and Mr. Gunawan from the Occupational Therapy Study Program. And also our moderator today, Ibu Triana. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. So for our distinguished professors, welcome to Indonesia. Thank you very much for coming back or coming to Indonesia and visit Indonesia. This is our campus, yeah, for the vocational study program. We are located in Depok. Yeah, Depok is outside the area of Jakarta, so a bit outside from Jakarta, located in the rural, I think this is the southeastern part of Jakarta. Okay, so we've been here for almost 12 years now, and from time to time, it is our main focus to enrich our students especially, and also the staff and lecturers with the newest and the updated information on certain areas, yeah, of knowledge. And because this is a collaboration of the 3 study programs, hospital administration, physiotherapy, and occupational therapy, today we will follow the lectures, as I mentioned before, on the elderly of the well-being, and also for the physiosport. I hope the audience can enjoy, yeah, the lecture and benefit much from it. I would like to encourage you all, yeah, to participate fully, okay, because this is a very rare occasion, yeah, and very important also, yeah. So we have our distinguished professors, so pay attention and concentrate fully to the lectures, and ask important and critical questions to our distinguished professors, so that by the end of these guest lectures, the audience will have a comprehensive knowledge on the topics that will be presented. Also, I would like to acknowledge TMU for the collaboration with our university. I hope this will be continued in the future, in the sense that probably there will be another guest lectures from TMU, or maybe we can also send our lecturers to have guest lectures in TMU. Also, what is interesting for the students is that the possibility that if you pass physio and occupational therapy, especially occupational therapy, with good grades, there is a possibility that you can continue further in TMU. So you can also ask Professor about the possibility of that. Yeah. Okay. Also in this occasion, I would like to send the apology from our director, Mr. Padang, because he has another agenda, and he has said to me that to say to you about welcome to Indonesia also. Yeah, hopefully, if he can join later, he will join the lecture later. Yeah, but if not, he send his best regard to you all. I think that's all for my speech today, representing the vocational study programs. Thank you very much for all the committees, that have been working very hard to prepare for this guest lecture. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, for the speech. For the next agenda is photo session together. For the photographer, please welcome. Before we photo together, we like to give a little present from Universitas Indonesia. For Dr. Herkutanto, please welcome to give a souvenir for Associate Professor. Untuk peserta paling depan boleh duduk aja dan yang belakang diri ya. Boleh pesertanya berdiri semua aja ya. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, over the next few hours, this meeting will provide you plenty of opportunities to discuss and share knowledge and accompanied by the expert of this field and the special moderator, Mr. Triana Karnadipa, SFT Visio, MSc Visio.
All right. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Jana Kanadipa. I am a lecturer from the Physiotherapy Department of the Vocational Education Program of University of Indonesia. I was given an opportunity to be a moderator for this special event with our special guest from Tokyo Metropolitan University. And here we have Associate Professor Kazuna Ichikawa Sensei from Physiotherapy Department from TMU, and also with Associate Professor Natsuka Suyama Sensei from Occupational Therapy Department from TMU. Maybe for person I will welcome you Indonesia. So University Indonesia Yokoso. So sorry. So for the first lecture, we will have Associate Professor Natsuka Suyama-san, who will present her topic, which is healthcare system for older adults in Japan. All right. So to make it simple, so I will let Natsuka Sensei to take a place. So yeah. So selamat pagi. Nama saya Natsuka Suyama. So thank you for the opportunity to visit here. And I visited the UI twice before, and this time is 3 times. And 4 years ago, last time is 4 years ago, and the last 3 years, we cannot go anywhere because of the pandemic, but this is the first visit to abroad for us. It's very excited here. And yesterday we came here and good flight to arrive in Jakarta. And I'm an occupational therapist, and my specialty is physical disability, and also now I'm in charge of the international student education, and also the TMU received many students from Indonesia, and we enjoyed studying with them. So.
おはようございます。Good morning. I'm Kazuna Ichikawa from Tokyo Metropolitan University, and I'm a physiotherapist. And I graduate from the graduate school in the UK. It is the same from the Triana-san. And I got a certification of orthopedic physical therapist. And also, I graduate from the sports exercise and physiotherapy in the UK. Actually, this is the first time to visit Indonesia, so I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay, let's get started the lectures. I will introduce some brief introduction of our lecture today.
Okay, let's get started. We have the 3 sessions today. And first of all, I will give you the present about the healthcare system for older adults in Japan. And secondly, Associate Professor Kazuna Ichikawa give the sports physiotherapy. And finally, I will give the present about 3D printer, a tool for the occupational therapy. I hope not only for the occupational therapy, but also the other professional as well. Okay, just a brief note. So recording a lecture are not permitted today, and taking a picture of the slides and screenshot of the presentation materials are not permitted due to the right of the publicity, because we use some pictures. Okay, thank you for understanding our cooperation in advance. Okay, first of all, I will talk about the healthcare system for older adults in Japan. I know that in Indonesia, all of the population is very younger than in Japan. So, but in the world, the trend, the number of the older adults is increasing now. So today's content in this session is older adult present situation first, and second one, the long-term care insurance system. This is a very unique system in Japan for the older carers. And thirdly, the community-based interrogation system. This is also the unique system recently in Japan. And finally, the independent life in the community and rehabilitation professionals. I think this is for the older adult care, but I think maybe the same concept, you can adapt the same concept in the pediatric area as well in the community. First of all, the older adult in Japan. So do you know how can we say the older ages or older society? So this is a kind of the definition. The aging society means the 65 the over population is over 7%. And we call the aged society, it means over 14%. The super aged society, it means that over 21% of the total population. So now, in Japan, is a super aged society. So maybe you cannot imagine, if you met the 3 persons, one of them the older adults in Japan. On the other hand, in Indonesia, I found some statistical data. 2020, the ratio of the older adult is 60.6. It's not yet the aging society, but maybe reaching to the aging society soon. Here is the health situation in Japan. As you know, in Japan, the life expectancy is very long. So male is 81.47 years old, female 87.57 years old. On the other hand, in Indonesia, it's shorter than Japan. And also, interestingly, you can see the cause of the death as the years. You can see that the third of the cause of death is old age. So natural causes is one of the cause of the death. So it means that many population in the age in Japan also that they can live longer than before, maybe in Indonesia. So that's why some issues are raised up about the older adult. So as you can see in this slide, so in Japan, in 1970, we moved to the aging society, and in 1995, we moved to the age society, and 2010, we moved to the super age society. And now, we have 29.1% older adult. Can you imagine? So as I said before, we met the 3 Japanese persons in Japan, so one of them are older adult. But still they are very energy, I think. So what the program happened? So this is another data about the statistics data or the adult population in the world. The trend in the world, the number of the older adults increasing. So you can see the so this here is Indonesian status. Now about the 6.6 ratios of the older adult, and this is estimated data. And 2060, so maybe in Indonesia, aged society, about 17% or 80%. But in Japan, it's very surprisingly near 40% older adult. But in the world, the trend is the same. Okay, so against the older adult issues, so how the Japanese government tackled these issues. So in 1960, the beginning of the welfare policies for the elderly, in that time, the aging rate is 5.7%, smaller than Indonesia in the present. And 1970s, the aging rate is 7.1%, is probably the similar the situation in Indonesia in the present. So maybe the Indonesian government may start some policy how to cope with the aging society, the aged society in the futures. And 2000, this is a kind of the milestone in Japan. Before that, all nations, all residents can use the medical insurance, including the older adult cares. But after 2000, the introduction of the long-term care insurance system is very big stage for the older adult care. Here, the enforcement of the long-term care insurance system to cope with the issue. Before that, I will briefly explain the universal health care insurance in Japan. So maybe some of them already know that we have the universal health care system. So all residents, including the foreigners, so all residents have to join the universal medical insurance. The characteristic of this insurance is coverage system, so covering all citizens by public medical insurance and freedom of the choice of the medical situation, free access. We can access any hospital, the clinic, even though the private hospital clinic. And also we can receive the high quality medical service with low cost. Also based on the social insurance system, spending the public subsidy to maintain the universal health insurance coverage. So all residents in Japan have this kind of the card for the medical insurance to receive the medical care, including the foreigners. So some international students, we have some international students, all international students must join this insurance, and then have to pay a premium depending on their income. And also they can receive high quality medical services with low cost. This is a basic medical insurance in Japan. But actually, as the number of the older adults increasing, so this system cannot maintain because of the budget. So then the government started long-term care insurance system especially for the older adult. But this system is very unique in Japan, and as the Japanese population has aged, the focus of the healthcare field has shifted from acute illness towards the provision of the integrated and continuous medical and nursing care for those with chronic conditions. It's more focused on the prevention or the nursing care. This system is established in 1997. Act is established in 1997. And then the Act established a long-term care insurance system for all people aged 65 and over and aged 40 and over in needed long-term care. This Act also created the position of the care manager who are able to assist the users in selecting the care provider. The basic concept of this system is support for independence, not giving or provide some care, or not only the care, but also to support independent life. The idea of the long-term care insurance system is to support independent older adults rather than simply providing the personal care. And also the user-oriented, a system in which users can receive integrated services of health, medicine, and welfare from diverse agenda based on their own choice. So user can choose their services. And also social insurance system adaptation of the social insurance system where the relation between benefits and burden is very clear. Who is insured? The insured at first class is people aged 65 or over. We call the category 1 insured person. And the second group is people aged 40 to 64 covered by the health insurance program. We call the category 2 insured person. So under 40, under age 40, they cannot use this insurance system. So services that are provided when people aged 65 or over come to require care or support for whatever reason. And when people aged 40 to 64 developing the aging-related 60 diseases, such as Parkinson's disease, stroke, and so on. So in the medical insurance, all people can use the medical services. But the long-term care insurance, so just certificated users can use this service. So how is the insurance fund? It's half from the tax, half from the premiums. So half of the tax, and also the over 40, residents in over 40 have to pay the premium monthly. So if you live in Japan and then you are over 40, you have to pay the medical insurance premium and also long-term care insurance premium. Actually, it's not cheap. I personally think it's a little bit expensive, but it's a very important system to support the people welfare. So how the structure working here? First of all, we have the insured person over 40, and if they want to use these services, they got the certification, the certificate of needed long-term care, and then they can receive the service from the service provider, and they have to pay basically the 10% of the service fee, and sometimes the 20 or 30%, depending on the income. And then service provider receives the cost from the insurers. It's a little bit different system from the medical insurance. This is the flow, how to get the service. It's very complicated. I just give the brief explanations. First of all, the user have to get the certifications of using the services, and then they got the certificate levels, care level 1 to 5, or support level 1 or 2. and some users cannot get certificate to use the services. And then the care manager will make a care plan for the users, and according to the care plan, the users can get some services, some type of the services, long-term care benefit or prevention long-term benefit. Also, if user cannot get a certification, maybe they can use the community service project. So depending on the user's condition, the services type is different. That's the example of the services. So from the home visit service to the in-facility service. So the user can receive some services in their home and sometimes go to the day service, or they can stay institution or kind of the residential service. So there are so many types of the services. In some areas, rehabilitation profession involved in. And also the users can rent some assistive devices. So as you can see, there are many types of the assistive device. Even though the wheelchairs, the nursing bed, the hand raise, we can rent the 10% cost of all amount of the cost. So we can use these kind of the assistive devices easily when you use the long-term care insurance. The 13 categories of the equipment for rental service and 5 categories specified equipment for sale. And if the user's condition change, we can change the assisted devices. Here is an example. It's a nursing bed and the handrail, kind of scooters, and slope and lamp and walkers. So we can rent these assistive devices. And also under the long-term care insurance, they can use the home adaptations. For example, installing a handrail in the house and eliminating the steps, or changing to the non-slip floors, or changing to the sliding floors, sliding doors, and changing to the Western type toilet. Actually, in Japan, still kind of, we call the Japanese style toilet, but it's almost the same as the Indonesian old style toilet. So sometimes we need to change the Japanese style toilet to the Western type toilet. And also we can get the subsidy from the government. The ceiling is 200,000 Japanese yen. And then user have to pay 10% of the total amount of the cost. Okay, so move to the community-based integrated care system. We already have it's very good long-term care insurance system for the older adult, last over 20 years. But you know, as the number of the older adult increasing, actually this long-term care insurance system is very hard to maintain. So nowadays, government try to promote the new, this is not exact the system, it's kind of the concept, the community-based integrated care system. This one is established that comprehensively ensures the provision of the health care, nursing care, prevention, housing, and livelihood support. By this, older adults could live the rest of their lives in their own way in an environment familiar to them, even if they become heavily in need for long-term care. The number of the older adult aged 75 and over, and with dementia is estimated to increase. The establishment of the community-based integrated care system is important to support community life for older adults with dementia. So this is an overview. So basically, the users in the centrals, so they can use medical services, and sometimes they can use some day service, daycare, and usually they can use some community service. So all services are integrated, not separated, integrated. And then care manager or sometimes rehabilitation professionals support to work well this system. Okay. So based on the long-term care insurance system and integrated community-based integrated care system, how can we support the client users their life independently? This is the present situation. Please image the life expectancy is longer than before, and the 90s, hundreds people is not rare in Japan. We can see many people aged 90s. So can you image their children? How old are they? So probably 70 or 80, already older adult. So the parent generation and also the children generation, both of them are older adult. And also in Japan, the low birth rate, we have the 2 syllables or sometimes just 1. And that's why we need a mutual support system amongst not only the family member, but also the generations in the community. And also the dementia risk as aged. So this risk is increasing as aged. So that's why the government tried to make some plan to support people with dementia. There's some project we call the Orange Plan. This is a support plan for the people with dementia. And also another plan, a project we call the Initial Phase Intensive Support Team. So this is to recognize the people with dementia earlier. And also dementia support training program. You can see this slide on the right. So not only the professional, but also the general people can learn what is dementia and how to cope with this issue, how to support people with dementia. Not only the adults, but also we have this training program in elementary school. So after finishing the school and after finishing the training program, we got the orange ring. You can see the orange ring in the wrist. Again, in the community-based integrated system, how the rehabilitation professionals supports them. So there's many roles and functions in this system. So maybe the OT as a PT or other professionals. In the medical area, maybe we can provide medical rehabilitation. And in the community area, maybe we can arrange the assisted devices, home adaptation. We can provide activity or participation opportunity. Or sometimes we plan the physical exercise or give the education to the users and the users' family. And sometimes as a professionals, we are requested to coordinate this system or organize this system. So management is very important things. So sometimes rather than the more physical exercise, the coordinating, the managing very well is very important things. So there are so many roles as professionals. So maybe you can, for you, it's easy to image, give some physical exercise, group exercise to the users. But also, especially for the occupational therapist, the life support or life management is a very important aspect to support the users. And also the prevention program, I think the PT involved in this program in the community. The prevention program is also the important things. The rehabilitation professionals involved in this area. And we have lots of working field, not only the institution, but also the community services. And sometimes we are requested to work as facilitators or coordinators or managers for mutual support within the community. I think this is the same concept in the pediatric area as well. This is one of the just example how to give the advice, not just exactly give the exercise. So PT, OT, ST sometimes manage or give the advice users how to cope with issues in the community in their life. This we call the service C. This service C is not only provide the physical exercise, but also to give a guidance or to coordinate to improve the physical and oral function, ADL, IADL, and nutrition. So this is kind of the new idea for the professionals. Okay, sorry, this is just for the OT. So what is the role as an OT in the community system? But I think the PT is the same and other professions the same. So especially at the community care meeting, the occupational therapist supports the client's life together with other professionals, especially the OT can analyze the physical and the mental aspect and then provide the support and guide based on the medical evidence, even though the client has some disability or diseases. And it promotes to improve their life and recover their life. The occupational therapist is not only the medical profession, but also the profession to support clients from the viewpoint of users or the people's life. So we focused on the strength on the user life itself. The summary, so we can see the older adult present situation. So in now, the super aging society in Japan, and in Indonesia, it reached to aging society. And we have the long-term care insurance system and the community-based integrated system. These systems are concept to support the users in the community, not in the institution, the hospitals. Also, as a professionals, we can support or give the advice or guidance the client and the users, how they cope with, how they manage their independent life in the community. Okay, thank you. So any questions?
All right, thank you for the great presentation, Natsuka Sensei. How would you like to have the discussion session? Is it the end of all presentation or like one by one? Oh, after all presentation. All right. Then please let me continue the lecture, isn't it? Okay. All right. Thank you for the presentation. Natsuka Sensei is really eye-opening for the healthcare system for older adults in Japan. We found many things like insurance, community-based integrated system, and also we found that our primary goals is to improve independence of older adults. So yeah, without further ado, I will invite Kazuna Sensei to present her topic. Okay, so Kazuna Sensei, is it working?
Sorry for waiting. So let's get started. Sports physiotherapy. Today I'd like to talk about, as I mentioned before, I graduate from sports and exercise physiotherapy in the UK. So I'd like to talk about what I study in the UK and I experienced working at Polyclinic at Tokyo 2020 Olympic and Paralympic Games. So let's get started. So when you think about, there are many different things, such as football, rugby, and volleyball, or gymnastics, climbing, and so on. So let me start by asking you a question. When you work with elite sports athlete, is a detailed knowledge of each sport essential, or do you think a sprain is just sprain for everyone? So this is a question I was asked in my first lecture at the postgraduate school in the UK. I think it introduced what we would learn in the master program in the sports physical therapy. We had a discussion developed from the lecture, this question. One UK physiotherapist said, I'm a part of an amateur sports and never been asked to have an in-depth knowledge of that sport. They didn't care how much I know about that. You only need to know the basic about that sport. And another UK physiotherapist who worked with gymnastics said, we must know what kind of common injury pattern common injury patterns are and how to deal with them. So I think it's far more vital that you understand your ability to respond to injury than understand in detail in the depths of sports. The lecturer concluded that we need to be able to examine the information and pick up the necessary information rather than having detailed knowledge of sports. The more experience and practice they have in different sports, the more they understand what information they need and can pick up the correct information. So this conclusion is that in-depth understanding and knowledge of the particular sport is not as important, but it is more important to be able to deal with the client problem in front of you. This means the clinical decision-making based on clinical reasoning and basic physical therapy knowledge is critical, even though we work in the sports field. Perhaps you might expect to learn what treatment techniques are effective in sports or what specific techniques are used in what situation. I'm sorry if you're disappointed, but the lecturer in the UK beat what there is no recipe for sports physiotherapy into my head. I mean, there is no such thing as a fixed clinical pathway in sports field. This is a definition of the sports physiotherapist. I'm not sure is there a sports occupational therapist? What sports physical therapist is recognized a professional who demonstrate advanced competency in the sports promotion of safe physical activity participation, provision of advice, and adaptation of rehabilitation and training intervention and so on. So there are a lot of ability to need. So this is a competency. There are competency by the International Federation of Sports Physical Therapy that the sports physical therapists should acquire. This figure has a lot of different competency. Not only should you show the ability to manage a patient or a client, like injury prevention, rehabilitation, and performance enhancement as a physical therapy, but also you should show ability as a professional leader in the sports field. It might think about you as an advisor of the safe and active life, because we're all familiar with how much exercise we should be doing and how we advocate of a health lifestyle for our patient. Of course, you cannot get these competency only from the knowledge you learn at the university, I mean the undergraduate level. When you think about rehabilitation for athletes, we need to consider many different aspects of these contexts. In the post-injury rehabilitation phase, the manual therapy can be used in the maximum extent. Still, the rehabilitation phase has finished. You need to bring the patient to the same or better condition before return to the sports, which may require different level of knowledge. And it may then be necessary to create a well-designed training plan that can bring peak performance at the right time using periodization to peak for the top season of the respective sports or major competition such as Olympic Games. The intervention and the law will also change in the place. You may require different skill when physical therapists work at the pitch site called field of play and at the clinic and the Tokyo 2020 Polyclinic. So there is no time, especially on the pitch side, but your decision will remain the same. There is no time for slow hypodetective listening, and you should make decision making more quickly using pattern recognition. So the physiological and biomechanical and psychological factors influence sports performance and injury in the sports field. I think you have been studying physiology and biomechanical things at university, so I can assure you there is nothing wasted you learn at university. So next, I will talk about my experience working with the elite athlete at Tokyo 2020. So this is a logo mark, and the light paper is a certification from IOC. So this is confirmed. I worked at a polyclinic in the Olympic and Paralympic Polyclinic. As you all know, the Olympic and Paralympic Games in Tokyo were postponed for 1 year, and it wasn't until the last minute that they would be held. So last year, at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic and Paralympic Games, I had the opportunity to work in the physiotherapy department of the outpatient general care facility called the Polyclinic in the athlete village. So this is almost all members from the Polyclinic. There are a lot of medical doctor or physical therapist or a radiologist or something like that. So this is the Olympic village where the athlete and team staff stay. So I think it is very beautiful, isn't it? And this is called multifunction complex. It was located in the Olympic Paralympic Village Center and easily accessible from each residential building. So it was a 3-story facility with a polyclinic and doping control station on the ground floor, a casual dining and recreational area on the first floor, and a fitness center on the 3rd floor. The physical therapy room was located on the ground floor in the polyclinic, like this one. So I make a sign using the kinesiology tape. So this picture inside of physical therapy room, there are partitions around the treatment beds to protect privacy. I think this is enough space to treat the athletes. So their electrophysical agents such as extracorporeal shock waves and radio frequency. So we could use the latest equipment for the elite athlete. And also we have an ice bath because the Olympic game was held in the very, very hot summer season. The physiotherapy room in the Olympic Village is open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. So we worked on the 2-shift system. There were 13 to 17 physiotherapists on standby each shift. So this is a member of the physiotherapist. But people from overseas had little understanding of Japanese physical therapy, including the level of technology, and I thought they half doubted our ability. So the team leader and staff come to see how we are doing, like what kind of things you can do. Then they see us doing the physical therapy on the athlete and what equipment we have. And if we convinced them, they left the athlete in our care. And when the team leader and the staff were satisfied with our treatment, they brought in more and more athletes. So we realized that they trusted us. So this is, I think, the team staff and athlete from the Brazil team in the, I think, the Olympic period. I'm here. I'm here. And in my case, I work with a lot of Muslim female athletes. The female physical athletes in the polyclinic were less than a third. However, only female physical therapists could treat Muslim female athletes because they refused male physiotherapists on the religion grounds. So they are medalists in the Paralympic athletes and returned to show us their medal after the competition. I think this is the first time I wear my gold medal, and I have a silver medal. So you know it is very heavy one and beautiful one. So the World Physical Therapy also posted on its website that the professionalism, expertise, and the skill of the Japanese physical therapy team has resulted in the highest standard of care in the prevention of the treatment, recovery, and injury prevention for athletes, and will remain valuable legacy after the games. So they posted the excellent comment on the website, the World Physical Therapy. So this is the university where Toriana-san and I graduated in the UK. So I wanted to tell you this time that I wanted all the way to the UK expecting to see what trick and for the sports athlete, but unfortunately there is no such a valuable recipe. That means that if you continue to make decisions based on the clinical reasoning, we will be able to understand the background of the person in the front of you. For example, what problem they faced and choice according to their injury and other conditions. So I think this is very short, but let me wrap up my presentation. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you for the very admirable presentation from Kazuna Sensei. And I learned so much thing as well, like the sports intervention in physiotherapy. There is no recipe in it, and it should be personalized as the current evidence says. And also, physiotherapist's decision is very important to bring the athletes back to their maximum performance. And also, it's very admirable to see Kazuna Sensei's performance here in Tokyo Olympics, and I'm sure it will inspire us to become like her in the future. And then I will move on to the last lecture from Natsuka Sensei, titled 3D Printer, a Tool for Occupational Therapy. So I will invite Natsuka Sensei to present her presentation. Natsuka Sensei, may present your
Thank you for introducing me. So the last is I will talk about the 3D printer. How many people know the 3D printers? Nobody? So nobody knows the 3D printer. What is a 3D printer? So it's very newest, not only the medical area, but also the technological, engineering, any other areas. And first of all, I apologize for I haven't got enough knowledge about the 3D printer, actually. So just I was requested to give some lectures in the occupational therapist areas. I learned about this book for the printer. But we use a 3D printer in our university, and many students use a 3D printer. And that we have some experience to use a 3D printer in occupational therapy. This is not only the occupational therapy, but also hopefully for the other professionals as well. So I will give some definition, what is a 3D printer first, and how to use the 3D printers, and then finally the occupational therapists and the 3D printing. I think that some Indonesians import 3D printer from Japan, our university. And also they give some seminar in the occupational therapy areas. Here is an example of the product. So you can see the self-devices and printing, not only the hand, but I think some or PT area, maybe you can make some sprint or the orthosis. And some training devices, this is finger exercise devices and therapy toys. All these are created by 3D printers. So what is 3D printing? The process of making a three-dimensional solid object from the digital file. So other names, desktop fabrication or additive manufacturing. So understanding the 3D technology and application of the 3D software is essential to implementing the design of the desired assistive and adaptive devices. I believe the occupational therapist is a creator, one of the creator, kind of the creator. So we are interested in this area. So here is the processing, the making devices for 3D printing. First of all, we have to make a conceptualizations or the planning, what kind of the devices we will make or create. And then after that, get the 3D models, and then setting the output, the printing, and post-treatment as necessary. So let's see each step by one. So first of the conceptualizing and the planning. First of all, maybe when you go to the clinic or the hospital in the clinical setting, maybe you want to make some devices for the user, the patient. So idea formation first, and the making patterns, the sketching. And then you can measure the device itself, getting the measurement, how big or how small. After finishing the planning, the making the devices, you can get the 3D model. This is the unique step. This step is a unique step for the 3D printing. You can get the 3D model from the website. And also you can use the 3D scanning. Also you can use using computer-aided design. I think the downloading from a website is very simple and easy to get the data. But before that, so if you make something good, if someone copied it and sold it, how do you feel? It's very sad. So the take copyright into the consideration is very, very important things. So we called about the CC licenses, Creative Commons license, give everyone from individual creator to large institution a standardized way to grant the public permission to use their creative work and copyright law. So this is a site. What is a CC license? So you can find many icons here. So each one has a meaning. For example, this by humans, the credit must be given to the creator. You have to put the name who is the creator. And this sign is adaptation must be shared under the same terms. Don't use other word. And this mark is only non-commercial use of the work are permitted. Don't sell it for the benefit to get the money. So this mark, adaptations must be shared under, this one, ND. No derivative of adaptation of the work are permitted. And yeah, this sign, you should follow this sign when you use data, others' data. It's okay, your own data. And also, if you opened your data on the website, you can use this sign. Don't copy my data without permission, or you can use my data, but please show my name. So that sort of things are very important rules when you use the data, others' data, or you open your data on the website. Okay. So where did you get, when can you get the data? So there's some example getting the 3D model download from the website. Okay, we can visit the website again. Here is the example of the website to get. Which one do you want to choose? All items and devices created by the 3D printers. For example, click a cat, kuchin. Kuchin kana? Kuchin. This is created by the 3D printers. And then you can find this logo, the sign, the license. So when you want to use this data, so you have to follow these instructions. So you can get the data, it's free from the website, but you have to follow the regulations to use the file. So many data from this website. And also you can visit other website, Yobi. Also you can get some data, it's related to the wheelchairs, I think. So we can share all data on the website, but you have to follow the regulation about the copyright. Okay, this is the first option to get the data. The second one is using the 3D scanning. So your smartphone can use to get the data, to create data. If you use these applications, I check the cost about $20 US. And then you can get the 3D files. And also the special scanning device, we call Sense 3D. So maybe one of the video. 全然関係ない。Yeah, advertise. Yeah. これ絶対行かないといけないです。Okay, just wait to finish the advertise. Okay. Yeah, I share the. This is a. Yeah. This is a 3D scanner. Not related to the medical area. What is a 3D scanner you can find? So you can get the data using a 3D scanner. It's a very simple one. And scanning the object. The scanning now, and to get the data. It's very easy to use, I think. I never used this one. And 3D print it. And to get the object like this. Okay. So this is the second option. The third option, using the CAD, I think maybe you need some skill to use this one, but this is also the other option. Okay, after getting the 3D models, and then can start to set the setup. So we call the slicer, using a slicer, is kind of the adjust the data for the 3D printing. So even though you can get the data, you have to convert some command to fit to read it by the 3D printer. So we call the slicer in this step. So, and then direct the 3D printer to what and how to do the printing. After the slicer, after using the slicer, we can start the print. So there are many types of the 3D printer, but the occupational therapist in Japan, the familiar and the prefer use FDM type 3D printers. What is FDM? This is a FDM type 3D printers. And here is a filament. Its cost is from $200 to the highest one is very, very expensive. And the filament is reasonable for us. I don't know the Indonesia, but still, it's not so expensive. So you can choose the many type of the printer, from cheaper ones, expensive one. The cheaper ones easy to use but easy to have the trouble as well. So anyway, the printer itself is very various type. And you can choose the colors, filament colors. And filament is not so expensive. Okay, after printing to get the object, and then if necessary, so you can need to do the post-treatment, remove of the support structure, the sanding, the polishing, so the heating and the modeling if necessary. So let's see the example of the 3D printing devices. This is from the Japanese website, but you can see the many pictures. Okay, so these all items printed by 3D printers. So many self-devices and assistive devices. So drink holders, cutlery holders. You can adjust the size easily from the adult to the children's. Oh, the cup holders. So many types of the holders. Also, for using the knife, the guideline, and opening the dashi, cut aid and cookie cutters, and Ziploc aid. It's very small, but it's very useful for the housework. あと何がわかるかな。And also you can make some training as assessment tools. The sprinting and finger exercise, puzzles, and training devices. And this one is a game controller created by the 3D printers. So you can also make a therapy toy as well. So many type of these devices, self-devices you can make. This idea is a very important thing to create these things. Okay. Here is a picture in our university. We use 3D printers here. This is for the undergraduate student class and some Indonesian student, international student here. And first of all, they get the 3D printers file, data, and then try to make some devices. These are examples of the device, some sprinting, or this is a keyboard guide, and training devices, and also the small one. I don't know what it is. So in our university, we have some 3D printers, and then the undergraduate student made something. Okay, here's the potential of the 3D printing in OT practice. So first of the merit is fast, and the cheap materials rather than prepared materials. Sometimes a good device is very expensive, but depending on your idea, it's good idea, you can make cheap materials. And durable and authentically pleasing, and can easier create or modify. Yes, it's very fast to get these materials, but on the other hand, the printing time is very long. So than you expect. Hours, it takes hours. And also the cost of the printer is sometimes expensive depending on the area or the type of the printers. And depending on the materials, sometimes it's very durable for the client or user, but sometimes cannot enough. So, and easily damaged. So we have to carefully choose where, when can we use 3D printers. As an occupational therapist, 3D printing provides clients with assistive devices that will increase their independence at a faster rate. It is important that OT understand how the custom print will impact daily living along with body function and the body structure. So before starting the 3D printing, the occupational therapist has to assess appropriately the client and the users. And then one should also know how the client's skin will react to plastic filament used the printing for the safety, because the 3D printing product is made by the plastic filament. Also, and to be able to predict how durable the printed product will be for everyday use. So depending on the devices or the type of the devices. As occupational therapist roles can include being involved in the designing the 3D printing process for the climbing. The designing is very important things, and the assessment is the important things before starting the 3D printing. And also, maybe some cases we can educate and empower the client to learn 3D printing itself. And also, we need to collaborate with other professionals, engineers, system design. And values that 3D printers generate in OT areas, we can easily share the data. So I know that so many islands in Indonesia and far each others, may be easy to share the data online, rather than deliver. Sometimes when you deliver something, it's lost it. But if you use online data sharing, it's much better. Also the practical usefulness. And first of all, sometimes we can decrease the cost rather than buying or purchasing. And also we can improve the daily duties using 3D printers rather than making some new devices manually. And also the possibility to create self-exercise tools, therapy devices, toys. So occupational therapy got good ideas for the therapy tools or devices. Easy to create the devices by 3D printers. Okay, I want to share some pictures. I think I found some picture from Indonesia, I think. Because this is the website from the Fabulabo Shinagawa. Maybe some of them know. They give some seminar in Indonesia. Sorry, I can't find. Sorry, I cannot find, but some picture, you can find some picture from Indonesia from this website. Okay, I bring this is a Japanese book for the 3D printer, but you can see some picture of what kind of the devices and self-devices you can make by the 3D printers. Okay, that's all for me, I think. Terima kasih.
All right, that's it. Thank you for the inspiring presentation from Natsuka Sensei. It was an eye-opening because we found a tool that can project our ideas into reality using 3D printer. And I think it will be useful for occupational therapists if they have idea about the tools that can help the patient. They can just make it and then use 3D printer. Yeah. Wow, that's very inspiring. Now we come to the Q&A session or discussion session. For the audience who have a burning questions. Oh, okay. We have one student who wants to ask the questions. Wait a minute.
Thank you for the time. Good morning. I want to ask to Miss Kazuna Ichikawa. So your topic is sport physiotherapy. I want to ask you about the factors that influence performance and injury in sport. That is 3, physiological, biomechanical and psychological. I want to ask you about the biomechanical factors. What aspect on that biomechanical and what kind of biomechanics can influence the performance? Thank you.
So I think that you need a basic biomechanical knowledge because you have to work with a sports athlete. So in that case, the sports athlete need a specific movement in terms of the sports they played. So in that case, we have to think about how to avoid the injury and how to enhance their performance. In that case, you have to analyze the sports movement first. In that case, you need a biomechanical knowledge. Is that okay?
Okay, I see. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Kazuna Sensei, for the answer. Is there any audience who wants to?
We have some questions from the chat.
Oh, all right.
Okay, so first one is the question that I have is how long?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Priscilla Rosemary from the Physiotherapy Studies. I want to ask to Ms. Ichikawa. I want to ask about your experience during the Olympics or maybe other sports events. Were there any conflicts between the athletes with the physical therapist there that maybe interrupted or even stopped the process of treatment? And how are we supposed to deal with uncooperative patients like that? Thank you.
So I think that there are a lot of staffs involved with sports athlete. So in that case, you should think about what should we do to the sports athlete as a physiotherapist. So I think the sports athlete need a lot of different type of support. So for example, psychological, but as a physical therapist, we have to manage the injury, the after injury rehabilitation and prevention of the injury is the main role of the physical therapist. And if we don't know the other field, for example, psychological, so we have to discuss about that, other professions. So I think that it is very difficult sometimes. In the Olympic setting, there is a language barrier. So I have a trouble to make complaint from the sports athlete because I think that some sports athlete from the developing country, so they sometimes can't speak in English, and we also speak English fluently. So in that case, sometimes there is a misunderstanding. So in that case, we use a translation device. I think that it's kind of the barrier to treat the sports athlete. I think that there is no problem with the same rationality. So that's my answer. Is it okay?
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Miss.
Thank you for the answer, Kazuna Sensei. So the main problem is communication.
Yes, I think so.
Right. So there are some questions in the Zoom.
We got some questions on chat. So first one is about the welfare system or care for the older adult. From Taufik Hidayat. His question, the question that I have is, how long did Japan building the milestone to be the successful as now? Is there any certain phase to do so? And in what phase did the professional like PT, OT, ST can join in the insurance program has most and good benefit for the elderly? So I will answer. I share my slide I used. I don't know the system in Japan work well or not, actually. So problem is always happens, the issues. There are so many issues, especially the human resources, the financial resources, the budget. And the milestones of the welfare system for older adults, I think the government watch the ratio of the older adult. So as you can see this slide, so yes, so you can see the aging rate is increasing gradually. So government, I think, to watch this rate and then make a plan how to cope with. And there are some policy how to cope with. First of all, the government use medical insurance to care the older adult, but after that, it's difficult to deal with the issue, and then make some other project in the community doesn't work well, and then make a new system, for example, the long-term care insurance system. So these are very useful way to watch the aging rate and to see the futures. And also after the introduction of the long-term care insurance, many PT, OT, and ST working in this area. Before that, actually I graduated around 2000. Yeah, I graduated. I get the OT license 2003. In that time, there's not so many working field for the long-term care insurance. Most of the PT, OT working in the hospital. But after this time, the many OT and PT, the ST working under long-term care insurance. So that's why depending on the laws, the government policy, the working field is bigger than before. So is it answer to Taufik?
Okay. Audience here, do you have any? Okay, we have many questions here.
Good morning, everyone. Ajumamashite, watashi wa Moana desu.
Nice Japanese.
I want to ask Ichikawa sensei, how important the insurance system with the population of older adult will increase. So, arigatou gozaimasu.
Yeah, your question is about how the system is work in the aging societies. Oh, it's very big question. I will explain about the present situation. Actually, the long-term care insurance established over 20 years ago. So the situation in the 20 years ago is different from now. So actually, we divided the two groups, the older adult. first group is the younger older adult, from 65 to the 75, and older adult, 75 over 75. So especially for the younger adult, older adult, it's very weird word, younger adult, older adult. But in this generation, it's very, very still energetic and very well and healthy. And in this group, the government provides the prevention program. So rather than provide the nursing care or the rich care, so under the long-term care insurance, not only provide the nursing care, but also provide the educational program, kind of the educational program to prevent, to keep their health. So I don't know, it's the answer to your question. So long-term care insurance is a very big system. Is integrated to the lots of things, and mainly the providing nursing care, but now the safety to provide the prevent care to support the older adult. It's okay? Thank you.
Thank you for the answers, Natsuka Sensei. Any more questions?
Hello everyone. Thank you for the chance to have me here, and I want to ask to Sensei Ichikawa. My name is Novi. I'm from physiotherapist, University of Indonesia. I want to ask, as we know, the Olympics are a dream event for the athlete around the world. And as Sensei has presented about the pace of consideration slides, I think it's third slide or fourth slide. My question is, how is Sensei, may you share your experience? How is Sensei experience when participating as a physiotherapist to optimize those paces? Because there are several phases that we have to do. Thank you.
The sports athlete, how do you optimize the result to the So thank you for your question. So I think it is a very tough question because it is depend on the person. So I think you need the ability to the clinical reasoning process each athlete or patient. So in that case, you should analyze the present situation or present problem what the athlete have. So I think the assessment is vital to optimize or enhance their performance and reach their goals. And I think that as a physiotherapist, I think that it is good to involved with the rehabilitation phase, but the sports athlete need it's kind of the another rehabilitation field, another rehabilitation time work, because they have to get back to the sports. So in that case, I think we don't have enough knowledge in that case to enhance their performance, to discuss other profession. I mean, it's a technical coach or something like that. So can I answer your question? Is it okay?
Okay, thank you, Sensei.
Thank you for the answer. So the assessment is vital, and also our collaboration with the coach and other health practitioner is also vital. All right. Do you have any? Okay, we have two more questions from the audience. Please help us to pass on the mic. All right.
Good morning. My name is Priscilla from physiotherapy major. I want to ask Professor Natsuka Suyama. Why do you like to working for older people in Japan? And is there any difficulties you found? Because as you say that the older people in Japan have independent life. It's very difficult to find it in Indonesia. So that's my question.
Yes, thank you for your questions. It's very interesting question. When I give a lecture to Indonesian students in our university, we sometimes explain the situation. I think the older, your grandmother, grandfather, your family member have to care the grandmother first. Yes, decades ago, probably 40 or 50 years ago, the situation in Japan is very similar, the same. The children have to care, they must care their parents. The same things in Japan. I have the responsibility to caring my parents. But the parents' generation, the grandparents' generation, their thought is changing. So I want to live independently. I want to decide something by myself. So I don't want to give the burden to children because of my cares. So I want to respect children's life. And sometimes as a children, I want to parents, you have to do this, you have to choose this. My parents, I don't want to do that. So the parents, my parents' generations, my parents in the 60 or 70, they want to decide something by themselves and find the solution by themselves. But as the children, I want to support them. So for example, that my parents' generation, for their generation, that sometimes difficult to use electronic devices, a smartphone to get the good information from the government. And in that time, I will support them. And also, we will support the parents to make a decision, to make a choice. So I think that mindset that people's thought is changing gradually. So I know that in Indonesia, if I put my parents in the institution, it's very embarrassing. It's very bad manner. But now in Japan, we will support the parents, which institution, each services is useful, good for my parents. That also support is very popular now. And also the other reason is small number of the syllables. We have just my younger brothers. So maybe the culture differences, the social differences. But in the future, the Indonesia, the situation maybe is similar in Japan, the Western style. Thank you for questions.
Thank you.
Thank you for the answer from Natsuka Sensei. So there is a social revolution in Japan.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right, that's very interesting. Now we come to the last questions from the audience.
Okay. Konnichiwa. Watashi no namae wa Naomi desu. I want to ask Kazuna Ichikawa Sensei, are there any difficulties during the Tokyo Olympic and Tokyo Paralympic 2020? Remember, you had the opportunity to take part at the physiotherapy clinic. Would you share your experience with us? Arigatou gozaimasu.
So the difficulty in the Tokyo Olympic. So I think that the Tokyo 2020 is postponed for 1 year, and we are not sure until the last minute the Olympic will be held, and so we can't invite another. We can't invite physiotherapists another country, so we have to manage all athletes with Japanese physical therapists. And also the COVID-19 prevention is tough. So because we don't want to spread the COVID-19 to the athlete, because if we realize the athlete can positive result of the COVID-19, they can't attend the competition. So I think that they are prepared for a long time to the Olympic Games. So in that case, if they get a positive, the COVID-19 in the polyclinic, that's the worst things, I guess. So the one is the COVID-19 prevention measurement is tough. And also, I already mentioned the language barrier is a tough thing.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you for the answer. So some difficulties during pandemic time during that time, yeah. Okay, I guess we have no more questions from the audience. How about all right. Okay, we have one more question. Okay, please.
Let me introduce myself first. My name is Ibu Suda Putra Maja. I'm an occupational therapy student. I want to ask to Sensei Ichikawa about physiotherapy sport. I want to ask about sport in there. There are many sports that include in Tokyo 2020 and so many athletes in there. I want to ask, as an athlete, because I'm an athlete, yes, I have so much injury, I have so much many pain that I have from the sport. And then I want to ask, there is a Olympic that I ever, and then the one thing I never get is the physiotherapist manage a team as like integrate, like some things like they are medical, like doing medical, like not integrate, like they only have, if there are some athlete falling, and then they only help, like not integrate in Indonesia first. So I want to ask, is in Japan have a manage and integrate their physiotherapists to help their athlete to get best injury to recovery their athlete again? Thank you.
Okay, so what sports do you do? What sports?
The point is,
You.
Yes. Taekwondo.
Taekwondo. Oh, that's nice. So I think that it depends on the sports. We have to think about things. So, for example, the injury prevention, the surface is very important. So you have to think about a lot of things to prevent injury. And we have to analyze the movement of the sport. Is it good for the movement to the sport, or some athlete? So even the elite athlete don't have the good pattern of the movement. In that case, we have to teach good posture and how to move efficiently. So the first, the physical therapist, we analyze the movement and all the physical things. So what the strings or ROM or something like that. So at adding to that, so especially the sports have a different demand. So we also integrate those things to improve their performance and to prevent injuries. Is it okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
So we teach many biomechanical tips here so they can move better. All right. I guess that's the last question of the discussion session. Thank you for Kazuna Sensei and Natsuka Sensei for all the great knowledge, skills, and also experience that you have shared to us. And also you answered the burning questions from our audience very well. And we gained so much knowledge from that. And I am as a moderator, and I will end the discussion session for today. Thank you for the audience and also the presenter. All right, I will give back to the MC. Thank you.
Thank you for Mr. Triana Karnadipa for being a moderator for expert lectures. Today's expert lecture session has ended. We thank professionally to our speakers, Associate Professor Kazuna Ichikawa and Associate Professor Natsuka Suyama, for the modesty in imparting knowledge to us. As our token of gratitude from us, we like to give a certificate from Universitas Indonesia to Pak Dion. Well, please welcome to the stage. Baik, selanjutnya ada penyerahan sertifikat juga untuk Ibu Moderator, namun lewat Zoom meeting. Kepada operator dimohon mempersiapkan sertifikatnya dan dimohon untuk didokumentasikan. Before we end this session, we'd like to take a picture for documentation. For the audience, please stand up for documentation. thank you the audience for participating in this expert lecture. I am Najla Supriyanto as the Master of Ceremony. Say goodbye and see you again. The future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Untuk jurusan okupasi terapi jangan pulang dulu ya, ada sesi foto sama Pak Gideon. Terima kasih. Foto nggak? Satu lagi. Thank you. Ayo teh merapat, ayo yang okupasi terapi merapat ke depan. Ayo Sasi ke depan. Senternya. Bapak tadi saya Bapak mohon maaf agak ke tengah lagi, agak geser lagi ke sebelah kanan. bawah boleh. Boleh ada yang kalau nggak cukup di sini ada. Di sini ada, tapi duduk jongkok. Iya nih oke aja. Lagi masuk lagi. Ayo. Lagi sih lagi. Terima kasih teman-teman okupasi terapi, silahkan pulang dan rebahan di kasur masing-masing.
Oke, itu bukan putih. Tadi bukan bingung kok beda semua mukanya.
Terima kasih atas kehadirannya teman-teman OT.
Perjalanan ribuan mil dimulai dari langkah kecil sang kaki. Langkah yang tak pernah berhenti meraih mimpi. Mimpi yang tak pernah usai ingin diwujudkan. Gelar merupakan satu pencapaian. Siap kerja tak hanya dibuktikan dengan kelulusan, namun kompetensilah yang menjawab semuanya. Sejatinya pendidikan bukan hanya membangun badannya, tetapi harus mampu membangun jiwanya. Dan kami mempersiapkan hari ini sebaik-baiknya untuk menguatkan sumber daya manusia unggul yang sanggup menghadapi tantangan global melalui kompetensi vokasional. Kita bergerak bersama sebagai derma pengetahuan yang tinggi di Indonesia dan ditopang oleh mereka yang berani mengambil langkah. Langkah yang tak pernah terfikirkan untuk berhenti. Dan kami selalu ada untuk setiap transformasi. Meningkatkan pengetahuan dan teknologi terapan yang bermanfaat bagi bangsa adalah visi kami. Dengan cipta karya yang bergema di setiap pengejawantahan karakter dan ketekunan, kami menopang setiap individu untuk menggali prestasi dan talenta hingga menembus batas. Melangkah maju menuju impian yang tegas. Kehausan meraih ilmu dengan mengelaborasi individu secara utuh. Melakukan banyak hal dengan menggunakan metode pembelajaran secara nyata, serta memberikan pengajaran yang siap menghadapi dunia kerja. Dengan mengadaptasi teknologi terkini, kami akan terus melahirkan ahli madya, serta sarjana terapan yang tersertifikasi kompetensi profesi untuk menjawab kebutuhan industri saat ini dan masa yang akan datang. Tak ada inovasi yang tercipta tanpa kolaborasi. membangun rasa percaya dan meyakinkan setiap mimpi yang tercipta tinggi. Dengan sinergi di berbagai perusahaan kelas dunia, tak ada nada ragu untuk kami terus melangkah maju hingga mencapai lebih tinggi, menjadi yang terbaik. Ini langkah kami untuk terus maju menjadi agen perubahan. Karena setiap langkah yang kami lakukan terbangun semangat keberlangsungan bagi bangsa dan negara. Kami adalah program pendidikan vokasi Universitas Indonesia. Hadir sebagai pendidikan vokasi yang kuat menguatkan Indonesia.